Welcome to the Path to Purpose interview show, where we share our unique and universal stories about finding and fulfilling our purpose. My name is Katja, and I'm your host and a mentor for Lightworkers. My intention for this show is to inspire you on your path to purpose. And today I have a pleasure to interview Paul Hunting, who is an author and a pioneer of leadership coaching with horses. He has been writing about Shakespeare and the Holy Grail. He has the passion for lost wisdom and the ancient mystics and sages. So you are up here for a treat, because Paul has a rare gift of understanding complex systems of symbologies and secret codes and bringing them down to earth so you can use them to transform your life today. I'm so eager to find out more about Paul's fascinating stories. So let's dive in. So welcome, Paul. It's such a pleasure and honor to have you here.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
So could you please tell a little bit about yourself? I introduced you very briefly. So who you are, where you are located now, and anything else that you want to share that you do.
Okay, well, I'm now located in the district of Stratford-on-Avon, which is Shakespeare's country. I'm 20 minutes away from Stratford and the RSC, which is the Royal Shakespeare Company. I live on a small, it's not exactly a farm, but it's a small property where I've got 5 horses. I better get this in the right order. I've got a wife, 5 horses. Whoops!
Oops! You don't tell anybody.
12 chickens. I think there's 12 chickens. It might only be 11 today. I don't know. We have a hungry fox in the neighbourhood, and a cat. So that's my family. But I'm originally from London. And I moved out here about 20 years ago, just at the beginning of the century. It was, yeah, the year 2000. We moved here in June of 2000, so it's coming up for 19 years.
Wonderful. And I'm so curious about the work that you do now. So was there something specific, like special event that led you to do what you do now? Because I know that you were building career in quite different paths before something. What happened? Tell us.
I wish I knew what I was doing now. You tell me. It's you know how it is. It just things come, and I'm in that stage where new things are arriving, and I've got to figure out how they fit in with the old, not so old, whether there is a connection, whether I have to drop things. I'm in that kind of new phase of things at the moment. But in terms of the work I do with horses, that was very much like an epiphany that I had. It was before we moved here, so it's over 20 years ago, in the 1990s. I lost my coaching business pretty much overnight during the recession of 1990, 89 through 91. There was a recession. I came out to the countryside to recover from the shock of that, and took up riding. I'd always loved horses, and I'd always loved riding, and I started riding again. I hadn't ridden for years. And one particular day, I was riding a very young, very big, very strong horse, and basically I was completely out of control on this horse, and I thought I was going to die. In fact, I probably was.
I have had that kind of experience with the horse too. Like, wow. They're powerful.
Apparently, however, I didn't. As you can see, I'm still here. It's what I did inside myself which saved my life and some. Basically, I made a choice, a decision, if you like, in that moment that I was going to live, and I was going to find a way of not so much bringing the horse under control, but taking leadership over the situation with this horse that was quite happy to jump over a fence and go galloping down the main road that was in front of us. And I had nothing, I had absolutely nothing. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I found a key inside myself which transformed the relationship I was having with the horse. He was going like a dressage champion. I was no great rider in those days, but this horse just came into a wonderful dressage outline, and I was in raptures. And my riding teacher was like, I mean, she was panicking because she thought she was going to have, scrambled eggs to do. Suddenly everything changed. I changed. The horse changed. She was astonished. And afterwards we were kind of, what happened, in the pub, and we couldn't really understand it. And I said, well, look, I just kind of got that there was something special about working with horses, and I needed something special at that point. So I said, how about we do some experimenting with horses and people in a new way and find out, what horses have to teach people about leadership. And she said, yeah, why not? So we did that. And 20 years later, here I am. I've now got my own horses. I've got a herd of, I don't know if you can actually see them. Shall we see if we can see them through the window? Let me take you over to the windows. There's some of them are outside.
Let's see.
Can you see them out there?
Yes, so you can just ingest, and I'm happy to post a link to
it's a long way away, right?
Yeah. But yes, I can see at least one of them. That's beautiful.
Anyway, those are my babies. That's my family of horses, and that was my dream. Well, way back before even any of this happened, I had a dream. A vision that I wanted to have my own place with my own horses, and here it is.
And here it is.
The whole thing, but here I am, and
that's amazing. Like having the dream and then manifesting it, and also having that moment. I just want to help people. That was a moment, having that challenge, very frightening challenge, and then having that one thing coming forward and then building around that. And what are the things that people now come for you for? Because I'm really curious personally on this topic as well, because I do love horses, and hopefully one day I get a chance to come to visit you, Paul.
You're invited. Okay.
I know, and I keep that in my mind. So what are the things that when your leaders come to you, what are they? One thing, I know there can be so many, but what is the most common thing that they come for you to help us with this?
Okay, well, I work with senior executives, board level executives on the whole, C-suite they're known as, which is chief operating officer, chief executive, chief financial officer. That kind of level of people have been my main clients for, always really. I've always managed to work with people at that level, which is kind of exciting and interesting. Well, you might find this hard to believe, but these people, even at the top of their profession, they have issues with other people, relationship issues. They can't get their teams to listen to them, or they can't. They're intimidated by their boss, or these kinds of things. Shocking, isn't it? I mean,
they are still humans.
Who'd have thought it? And so I set up a situation I listen to them very carefully and to find out what the issue actually is, and design an exercise with the horse that's a metaphor for them of working through this issue to a resolution. Let's see if I can explain how that works. Horses are prey animals. Humans are predators. Okay, so we're not only different species, but we're very different mentality, if that's the right word. I don't really know what the word is, but we have a very different, are hardwired to escape, fight or flight, escape response from predators. And humans are the biggest predators on the planet. We eat horses. Horses, don't trust us necessarily. They won't trust us. Unless we're being authentic. So when we're being authentic, when we're being true to ourselves, they can understand that. When we're not being true to ourselves, when we're trying to manipulate them, or we're playing some kind of an ego game, or we're caught up in some kind of dilemma, and we're dealing with not necessarily fear of the horse or fear of a situation, but what I call existential fear of who we are, or fear of who we're afraid we are. When that energy is driving us, horses can't compute because it's not authentic. So they won't follow. They won't engage. They won't follow.
Oh, yeah.
Either, really, they won't really follow with full enthusiasm if people aren't being authentic. If they're putting in an act, even if it's very convincing.
And I have seen that exercise, actually, when they do that exercise, like aiming to make the horse follow you. And I have been there myself. I started riding when I was 6, and sometimes trying to make the horse move, and like a little girl, sometimes they did. And it was more like horses, I see them as a mirror as well, with the reflection. They can be a mirror for you. But it's so funny, like trying to make that horse move. If they don't want to, you can pull as much as you want to.
That's it. You put your nail on the head. The nail on the head. You've hit the nail on the head. You've hit the nail on the finger. No, you've hit the fingernail. Yeah, absolutely. They are a mirror. They'll reflect back to you what you put in front of them. So when you're being inauthentic, when you're not being true to yourself, you get that back, and they'll resist. Or they'll lead you. It can be quite funny, actually, quite amusing. Probably not that funny when you're in the situation, but when the horse takes over the exercise, and the client doesn't realise that the horse is actually leading them. It's hilarious, but it's also a point of learning, because when you're in that energy and you're dealing with the feelings and the thoughts and the patterns, the energy that goes along with that, when you're right on the edge of it, the information that you can glean, obviously it has to be very skillfully facilitated, and I know someone that can do that extremely well.
Absolutely.
At that moment that you can tease out the real cause of people's dilemma, and what's driving them, what drives people into patterns, into cycles, into the hamster wheel that people can get caught on. So unless people find out what that is, and they learn to be authentic in that situation, they're absolutely stuck. They can never move on. They might develop more and more strategies coping, looking like they're dealing with it, but they'll never really deal with it. And whatever energy is blocked or is withheld, it starts to back up. It starts to cause physical, emotional symptoms, mental symptoms. It's basically we're blocking our life energy. and the price we pay for that is pain. And once it gets into the unconscious, then it starts coming into your dream life and into symptomology. It can be very difficult to clear up. But it's not irreversible. I've had people here with quite serious medical issues like rheumatoid arthritis, for example, which is very often a symptom of when people are rejecting themselves inside. The body, the immune system starts to work against you, and you start getting these conditions. I'm not a medical expert, so I mean,
yeah.
But that's the principle of it.
Absolutely, and that's how we can kind of also have a look of that part, like checking with, of course, with doctors, but also checking what's happening within, and maybe there can be answers as well to help.
There's no maybe about it. There are. I mean, there's a point of there's a moment of truth in this work where people make a breakthrough, then they get a reference point inside them for who they really are. Some people, I guess all people do float in and out and get a sense of that from time to time, but it's not sufficiently grounded that they can make a choice, a conscious, deliberate choice. Right, I come in this situation. Now I've got a reference point. Now I can make a choice. So I take them through that process. There's the initial thing where they're stuck in the issue, and so it's an inquiry. Who are you afraid you are, and who are you pretending to be, and what kind of keeps that all stuck. Then there's the process of taking a risk, risking being authentic in the situation with the horse, and then entering into a positive spiral of really positive energy starts to. The client will go into a different state and a different relationship with the horse. The horse is going, what do you want? I'll do it. What do you just tell me what you want, and I'll do it. And then it's about being clear and making your intentions clear and communicating. The horse picks it up and they start doing stuff that was impossible, was never going to happen before. Because it's a metaphor of a situation that they've got that's real in their life with their boss or their team or their family or whatever, or their some kind of internal condition. It's real inside. Okay, it's just a horse, but the horse is a symbol for something that's real inside the client, and they work through the issue and have a resolution, and they have a reference point. And then they have an expansion. The third phase is that they start to expand that. Sorry, am I going on a little bit too long?
No, I think that was very fascinating. I was really tuning into that because you were clarifying the steps and how things are moving forward. Because that is also like sometimes we might think that it's supposed to happen just immediately. At least my quick mind is always like, oh, but there is certain process that people are going through, and of course the change itself can take place quickly, but then you have seen this, how this is manifesting and how this is moving forward. And now if somebody here is listening, and some of them might not have a horse available, and I do though post all your comments to the links that they can have a look of your work. But if somebody is now in leadership position or wanting to be, what would be the first step forward if they see that there is something and they might not even be aware, but it's just something is there blocking them, they feel it. So what would be your recommendation as a first step that they can do, other than contacting you, of course? But
I was going to say, do you mean other than contacting me for a conversation? I think it's pretty hopeless otherwise. No, let me see. I think I don't like to give people advice, but the advice nevertheless would be, whatever you're afraid of doing or saying or being, take the risk and do it. As long as it's not something that's foolish or physically dangerous or is likely to be emotionally damaging. But it's always about having the courage to take a risk in a positive sense. And the risk is failure. You know, you've got to risk making a mistake, got to risk screwing something up. But there are more subtle risks than that. And the most subtle risk, I think, of all is forgiveness. Is forgiving people and just cutting people some slack and making exceptions for people and entering into relationship that's not judgmental. Those are the real risks that you know, where you grow and learn and develop and expand.
That's beautiful, and I think that's taking a risk. And one of the steps is sometimes also like just saying like, maybe I need some support and help on my path, and that is also a risk because you are moving forward that way. And that, at least personally, was a challenging step for me in the beginning, saying, hey, I'd love to have some support on my path.
Yeah, because leaders, you know, quote unquote, are supposed to be strong, and they, you know, and they're supposed to have all the answers, and you know, they're not supposed to be vulnerable, and all of that, and that creates separation because there are no leaders. There's no such thing as leadership. People are following. They're following something inside themselves, regardless of who's in the leadership role. It's a paradox. It's subtle, but you know, if you want to be a good leader, you've got to inspire people to follow something inside themselves.
Wow, I'm so glad we have that on a recording because that was really truly deep wisdom. So if you're listening to this, listen to that part again. Like, wow, that was just really like, what is leadership? And I know sometimes there is so many paradox in this level, and that was one of them. Like, yes, we have this paradox about the leadership, but that's really being truly inspired and inspiring the others to find that light within them and follow that, as well as taking action, because that, when they have that connection, I believe, then they are more inspired to actually do something, take the action and moving forward.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't know what the action is until you've taken that risk and gone through the, you know, through the shadow, through the darkness. You just don't know what it is. And when you do it that way, it's always so much better. You know, there's a surprise. There's, you know, grace, if you like, comes forward at that point. And you let go of the old paradigm and the block. You get the grace and the bliss that comes with it.
I'll take that.
The bliss that is this.
And that's actually so interesting what you shared, because like, yes, sometimes we don't even know, you just need to be willing to take the risk. And as much as the mind would like to know and ensure and secure things, sometimes there is not such a thing. But if you're willing to take the risk, then you might get the moments of this grace and bliss, but you never know if you're not saying yes for them move forward.
Yeah.
So Paul, if now people, some of them might say like, okay, I'm ready to take the risk. I need some support on my path to purpose. And if they would like to connect with you, what would be the best way for them to do so?
Just drop me an email. I think you've got my email addresses. Yeah. There's a couple actually. My new one is going to be paul@paulhunting.com, but that I don't know when this is going to go out, but that's not ready yet. It will be soon.
Okay.
But the easiest one to connect with me is paul@horsejoy.com. That'll always get me. I'm not going to get rid of that.
No, don't, because I love that. So absolutely, I put both of them on the comments, so it's easy to find there. And just want to start wrapping this up, because you're a person I would love to talk more. I would love to talk the whole weekend.
Yeah.
But just want to ask you, like, if you have a special message or special invite for the people, how can they start? Do you have like a webinar coming, I think you said, or something that they could have?
Yeah, I've got a couple of books that have been published, are available on Amazon. It's my guru book, as I call it, Why Talk to a Guru When You Can Whisper to a Horse. And yeah, that's right. You're supposed to have a little chuckle because it's quite a clever headline.
That is quite clever.
And Shakespeare's Revelation. We haven't had a chance to talk about how Shakespeare links in with all this, but he does. There is a huge hidden message in the subtext of Shakespeare that is world-shattering. So maybe you'd like to have another interview with me at a later date, and I'll tell you all about.
We were so connected. I was like, okay, today I connected.
Part two. Do the season 1.
Absolutely, because you have so much wisdom. I definitely would love to talk, because one of the things were also to mention to Shakespeare, because I know you have a special connection with him. But then today, the horses were the thing that came forward during this interview. Baba, great idea. Definitely, let's talk about another interview about Shakespeare, because there is so much there as well that I'd love to learn from you. So checking out, and if you are listening to this interview, you can already go in, check those books on Amazon. I will post also links so you can easily find them. And just last thing, if you have a special message or a blessing or something you want to share with the audience, like just something to inspire.
You're so greedy. You want more and more.
Yes, give me more. But you are giving from the overflow. The well is already full.
Want me to give a blessing? A blessing already?
Yes.
God bless you. Have a wonderful life. What can I say? Yes. What is the purpose of life? Wrong question. What do you want the purpose of your life to be? That's the question.
Wow. That was almost like a Shakespeare quote.
It is, exactly, isn't it? To be or not to be. And it was, last night I made the connection, the ultimate connection between that, the be or not to be, and the work I've been doing with the horses. I suddenly got, it's the same. That's why I have this affinity to Shakespeare. Out of the blue, but that's for the next episode, I think. Okay.
Yes, stay tuned. Thank you. Thank you so much, Paul, for sharing your wisdom and spending this time with us.
So I have to go now.
Yeah, yes, until the next episode. And thank you for watching Passive Purpose interview show, where we share inspiring and insightful stories and our journeys. And please subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for the next episode. I'm sending you so much light and love. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.